Hey everybody, it's Jordan Fleming here with another episode of That Real Estate Tech Guy. Delighted to say that my co-pilot for today's episode is Michael from Launch Control. Michael, welcome to the podcast. Why don't you introduce yourself and Launch Control?
Thanks, Jordan. Happy to be here. Yeah, my name is Michael. I'm the VP of Sales and Business Development for Launch Control. Launch Control is an SMS engagement platform. Our core customer group is our real estate investors, wholesalers for the most part, but we've also got some real estate coaches, people doing fix and flips, that kind of thing. So it's SMS engagement to help people land deals in real estate investment.
Fantastic. Well, I'm excited to hear more about Launch Control. I've got a number of people I've worked with over the years who've used you guys. I guess I want to start by, I think a lot of people get, or, particularly if they're starting out, if they're looking for a new way of engaging with people, they may not understand exactly how they can use text message effectively. Could you kind of dive into a little about, the way you guys help people get started on engaging via text?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things about Launch Control that really makes a difference is the way that we approach it. And the way that we approach it is via strategy and routine. Now, there's unfortunately, I don't know how it got started, and I'd love to talk to the first person who started doing it this way. But the term text blast, it makes my skin crawl. I absolutely hate it. So what it really comes down to, and what we really preach, is having a real sales-based, lead conversion-based approach to SMS engagement. And if in any line of sales, anywhere. And this is 1,000% true in real estate investment. It takes a series of touch points, right? SMS messages, calls, emails, on-site visits. You're stringing together touch points, building trust, and coming to an agreement on what is a piece of property. It's a home. I think, Jordan, I made this joke with you when we were first talking. We're not trying to buy bicycles here. We're trying to buy houses. So you're not gonna build that level of trust just by blasting out a text. It's inefficient. What is efficient is taking a set of data. It doesn't matter where you got it from, right? It always makes me kind of smile when people say, "Yeah, I got 10,000 leads from named lead source." No, you got 10,000 names that fit a filter, and that filter said that person had a home at some level of distress, right? But it's not a lead until that person has engaged with you, right? So the absolute fastest way to get someone to engage, and I'm not nothing against any other way of engagement for real estate investment, but the rest are passive, right? You put something in the mail and you wait for it to come back. You post something online and you wait for it to come back. Those are great leads because they came, they came seeking you, but they're passive. You have to sit and wait for it to come back. SMS marketing is active. If you walk into a Monday morning, you're like, I got nothing to do. I don't have a site visit till 4:30. I need some leads. And get some leads. As long as you have a little bit of data to put into the system, you can get those, say, 20, 30 active conversations generated. Now, what makes a difference with Launch Control is we give you the tools and the features, and also the training and advice via our success team. And I'm not talking about real estate investment advice. I'm talking about SMS engagement advice, how to really convert leads, because there is an art to it. Everybody knows, and they don't often associate it with SMS engagement. But you don't just go into cold calling. There's a reason why some people are very good at cold calling and others are not. Right? There is an art to it. Same thing with SMS engagement. So what we try to do is we get those active that's all of our focus is on what comes into the inbox, and then how to take those and push them towards the point where they are pre-qualified leads or qualified leads that then you can if you want to push it to your CRM, close the deal, right? But without those discovery details, without some inkling of an understanding of the homeowner's motivation, timeline, whether they're aware of their alternatives, all of that, right? It's going to take you multiple touch points to get there, and that's what we preach: is get them active, get them, looking at their phone. That's how text message works, right? They pull their phone out of their pocket, they're looking at the screen. You've got them, you've got their captive attention. So how do you now what's the move? Do you call them? Do you text them? Like, what's the move? But the move is going to have to be a series of touch points. And we really stress that and try to get people to really focus on SMS as a lead conversion strategy, not a blast.
I can't agree with you more. With what you just said, the term blast makes my skin crawl. And most critically, what you said was the word engagement, because all of these points, you are particularly in a distressed environment where maybe people are under duress, they're under stress. You've got to build a trust. You've got to build engagement with them so that you can make everybody comfortable enough to be able to proceed with a conversation. And that, I think that too often people just think if I get 50,000 data points, I'm agreeing with you on the leads now, calling it leads. If I just throw everything at them, well, hopefully I'll get something. And it's just such an inefficient it not only is it an inefficient way of working through your data, but it's also a very bad way of building trust. You're not building anything when you do that. So I'm really interested. So in terms of, launch control specifically, obviously one of the things that people ask me about all the time are things around opt-in and what do they have to think about when it comes to text messaging. Can you speak to a bit about that? Because that's a question people immediately ask me when they ask me about text messaging.
Yeah, no, of course. Look, I mean, in an ideal environment, you've got data capture that is truly opt-in, right? They went to a landing page, they clicked, yes, I want some more information, and you're engaging from there. Think of it as getting a text message from your favorite artist or brand or whatever. This was wanted information, right? But within the world of SMS engagement, there is the restriction on a TCPA guideline level is that you cannot sell a product or service, right? And that's where the trouble. That's where other groups, non-real estate investors, get into trouble. I'm talking about like people selling auto warranties, renewals, and these big, like hundreds of thousands, millions push. I always lump all that together as spam, but the two trigger points that cause trouble, and it, just so everybody's really clear about this, you can't auto send text messages, right? Which is why if you're in launch control or truthfully any SMS engagement platform, you have to take a physical action, right? If you're going to send out 150 messages in launch control, there is a button being pushed in order to do that. It takes less than a minute, but you are taking an action, and you do have visibility into every message that you're sending, right? So there is a one-on-one engagement with it. So there's nothing auto, nothing robo about it. And then the other element is that you don't sell a product or service, right? Now, if you're wholesaling, you're offering to buy someone's house. Yes, they're in a distressed situation. Yes, you do have to build trust, but ultimately they end up in a good place with you because you did help them, right? Like you got them an alternative solution that most likely they didn't even know existed. And you got them into a better place in their life, right? Had to take a little work to build that trust and get there, but you got them there, right? So it ends up being very much a wanted thing. And so as long as you're following those rules, you're 1,000% fine. Where people make a mistake is that they don't understand that compliance isn't necessarily 100% on the application. Launch control as an application is 100% compliant. It is well within all
your behavior on the other hand.
Exactly right. Now, if I go on and I say, I'm just going to use launch control to sell cars, and I'm like, hey man, I got a great sale, 40% off on a new Ford Ranger, boom bang bing. They're gonna be mad about it, right? And people can via their behavior not be very compliant, right? So there's simple rules that you can follow, and no matter what platform you're using. Look, there's a few rules that you can follow if you're worried about the safety element. Be anonymous, right? Because this number is coming. It's coming from an unknown number, right? So if you're saying like something like, "Hey, my name is Jordan. I regularly purchase properties in the area. Wanted to see if you were interested in discussing alternatives for 57 Green Street," and that's it. Well, you're just Jordan. There are a million Jordans, and you're just making an offer to discuss alternatives for their house. You're not selling anything. You're not providing a service. You're not selling anything. It's just one person reaching out to another. Now, if you were to take that same message and say, hey, it's Jordan at I Buy Houses for Cash over on Greenlee Avenue. I wanted to see if I could come by and offer cash for your place. Let's set up a time. Here's my website link. Well, I mean, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes if they're mad about it to figure out who you are, right? And even if they are, that nothing's going to come of it. You didn't actually break any guidelines. But why put yourself in that position, right? If you are texting with honesty and a little bit of anonymity, and you wait until you have true engagement from that person and true interest from that person, then you will never have any issues. It's a pretty simple route to safe engagement long term.
And I think I'm going to go back actually to the first thing you said, which was treat it as an engagement tool, and you're probably going to be like you treat it as a way of engaging with human beings to develop a relationship, and you're probably going to act accordingly. Treat it like it's an easy way to blast out to 500,000 people, and you're probably not. So be sensible and build the relationship elements in like you would if you were calling them or you were sending any sort of other communication touch point. You've got to treat each of them as though you're building a relationship, not like you're just throwing someone out of a wall.
Yeah, like we had, not we, but I was talking to one of our affiliates, and she had a student that was hesitant to get back into SMS engagement because she'd done it years before in the past. And she was like, you wouldn't believe why. And I was like, what? She goes, well, she sent one text to the person, and they replied with something like, who is this, or how'd you get my number? And then they pushed that lead to their CRM and proceeded to call that person 8 times every day for 4 days. And her logic was, well, because of texting. And our affiliate was like, what do you mean because of texting? Right. So that behavior that you're talking about of not taking a human angle to it and not treating it like a real lead conversion. I'm talking to another human being who owns a home in a distressed situation. How am I going to build trust? How am I going to make myself a known name and a trusted resource? We're not going to do it by sending 500 texts, which is why we throttle and don't allow anyone to just text unless you have a real active conversation, and why we would never suggest that you just cold call like that. Like you're essentially crank calling them at that point.
Why not call them at 2 a.m. as well? Let's bring it all in, right?
Exactly. Like get an air horn. Like just be as terrible about it as you can. Like that. It doesn't. If it doesn't seem, it's very simple, right? Like would it convert you, right? Like if you were on the other end, if you had that distressed home, would this work? And if the answer is no, don't do that.
Do it.
Yeah.
100%. Well, let me ask you, so if people are going to get started with doing these sort of text message engagement exercises, and they're looking into launch control, can you speak a little bit about, how they may be, how, if they're using your system to start engaging, how are they able to maybe measure what the response rates are? Do you have clear kind of metrics that you can show them which bits are working and which isn't, or if they're uploading different sets of data so that they can compare and see what's engaging better?
Yeah. So, there's two levels to using launch control. All right. So you can come in and you can do it yourself, in which case you've got on your dashboard, we're going to let you know exactly how many unread messages you have, how many leads that you have that haven't been given some kind of disposition, hot, warm, nurture, etc. We're going to let you know which campaigns, which means like which data sets matched with messaging are working the best. We're going to let you know what drip automations that you have lined up for that day. There's a lot of data and metrics that you have available just right on the dashboard. So you can come up and response times to messages. It's very detailed, and you can come up with your own kind of set of prioritization on those metrics and how you use them. There is, however, advanced usage, and advanced usage is really easy. All you have to do is talk to our customer success team, because look, I don't care what application you're talking about, SMS engagement, Spotify, anything that is, you do not know how to use it at like 10 out of 10. Nobody does, right? Unless you talk to an in-house expert, no way you do. So we have in-house experts, and you should talk to them. Because I'll give you a simple example, right? Like everybody spends money on data. Everybody spends money on skip tracing. You want to get the most out of that as you possibly can. So let's say you're using 3 different data sources. Well, we would advise you to set up those campaigns in Launch Control and name them based off of data source, and then send them content that is similar but not exact, so that you can then ABC test that. And at the end of 90 days, if you've gotten 5 deals from data source A, 2 deals from data source B, and not even a couple of appointments set from data source C, where are you going to put your money, right? So it's the advanced usage, which our team can help you with. It's things that people might not think of right off the top of their head, because it often isn't really real estate investment tactics. As I said at the top of the call, it's more sales and marketing tactics, and marketing tactics specific to SMS engagement. So when you can marry what the real estate investors are great at, which is talking to homeowners and getting deals done, with what we're great at, which is SMS engagement, and taking a text response and turning that into a qualified lead, and giving you advice on how to do that within the system, the outcomes are really powerful. It equals a lot of deals.
That's really interesting to me, and I'm really glad we got a chance to talk about this today, because I think, where people may be nervous or not really sure how to get started, the fact that you guys have sort of a customer team that can give that guidance and can help set those best practices up, I think that gives an enormous sense of security that it's like, look, I'm going to be able to enter into this game, and I'm not doing it blind. I'm not, I don't have to stumble around. I can actually get help from the people who see it every day and really know it. I think that's a really great part that I wasn't actually aware of. So I've
and to be fair, I don't blame people. Like, I think it's pretty fair to assume with most organizations that a success team is just going to be there to pick up pieces, right? They're not consultants. They're not highly educated on things. It's just they're problem solvers, right? But the opposite is true at launch. Like they are trained and continue to be trained on being SMS marketing experts with a high level of real estate investment knowledge. And that's invaluable, especially for really at any level. Like, imagine if you come in and you're a brand new real estate investor, and you're talking to coaches and you're figuring it out, and this is just one more thing that you have to jump through, one more thing you have to learn. But if you can have guidance, and it's not costing you, it's built into the cost of your subscription, that's fantastic. If you are a big shop and you've got 2 VAs and an acquisitions person that you want using launch control and doing all that, the day-to-day prospecting, you don't want to coach them, you don't want to teach them. like knowing that that's built into your subscription cost, that training will be handled. All they have to do is raise their hand and say help. And that's an incredibly powerful tool. And one that I think that, a lot of people don't realize when they're researching the platforms, just how in depth we go on that level. And so, yeah, it can be extremely helpful at any stage of your career.
I didn't, I'll be honest, I put my hand up and say, I didn't realize you had such a great kind of customer, success model. And that's a fantastic thing. It also leads me into, I guess, my next question, which is, would you say that, entering into this game with launch control would be something that, even people at the relatively start of their real estate investing career can, because you guys support so much, it sounds to me like even if you're just getting started and you're kind of you're not necessarily a very mature investor with lots of deals, that launch control would be a platform that you could engage with and you could get success with because you're able to work with your success teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think I don't think anyone else can offer that. And it's something that I think is really vital at that point in people's career. And don't get me wrong, like, yes, we absolutely love helping people. It's the fun part of our job, is getting in and actually working with individuals, getting to kind of geek out about SMS marketing and how it works and really being able to talk about their businesses. We love that part. But there is a part of it as well. If someone comes in and they sign up for our light subscription, which is our lowest level subscription, and they're just getting started in the business, we want them to be customers for the entirety of their careers. 3-4 years down the line, we want launch to be a fundamental part of their REI operation, and we want them to be able to scale up to the point that they're hiring 2, 3, 4 more them to just keep up with the deal flow volume, right? But that's not going to happen if they don't get past the early stage frustrations, right? And everybody gets the early stage frustrations because it's scary until you have a bunch of deal flow going in and go, a couple of down months, I'll take a vacation, right? Like it takes a long time to get to that point, right? So if we can get them past the frustration stage by giving them really great advice that equals profitability on the other end, then it's a no-brainer that they'll stick with us, which is good for us in the long run.
Absolutely. Now, one last question before I get into the fast five. One thing I know that I know people are going to ask about when they listen to this is, okay, this sounds amazing. Now I also have a CRM in which my acquisitions team nurtures leads that have started to be, that are actual leads. In terms of getting data from launch control and being able to push it to whatever of the 100 different CRMs that people could be using, how easy is it for them to sort of push to the next step, but maybe get to a CRM where they can manage acquisitions and move to dispo?
Yeah, I mean, we can integrate with any CRM. A lot of it is done via webhook, but we've got a team that can walk you through it if you're not able to do it yourself. And then again, like going back to just kind of working through our whole system is work with our team and come up with the right exit point, right? Because one mistake that some people make is, let's just say you send out 1,000 total messages and you get 200 active conversations from those. If you push all 200 of those to your CRM, like your team is going to get frustrated because they've got unqualified leads that they have to filter through. Now, if you keep it in the system and you work through a system of touch points and you get some level of pre-qualification or at least strong interest before you give it that push, and you're taking it down to leads that are getting people excited, right? Like anything that hits your CRM should be this isn't about launch control. This is about us converting this deal. What's our conversion percentage on CRM pushed leads like that? So coming up with that cadence of when to push, that's another thing our team can kind of help you with in terms of best practices, but it's a vital thing when using it. So you don't flood yourself with how'd you get my number?
Oh, I can't. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as a guy who used to build CRMs for real estate investment companies back in the day, the amount of times I would see crappy data in the CRMs, and it clutters, it causes friction, it causes frustration. And I would wholeheartedly, agree with, having a good strategy to be able to know when to push a lead from launch control into CRM so that it can really be to the point where it's going to be able to go into a closing stage is absolutely vital. I couldn't agree more on that. Let me top into the fast five questions. The fast five questions I ask every tech company that comes on the podcast. Quick questions, quick answers. Question number one: what feature of launch control has the biggest impact on your customer's business?
The drip automations. So as we all know, if a customer or client is not ready to sell in the moment, they're in a distressed situation. It's a matter of time, right? So the drip automations are running in the background. You're continuing your active prospecting. So a conversation that you started in June may close in November, December, because it's coming up on the first of the year. It's that time of year when they're ready to make big decisions in their life, and you've been a constant background presence. They come back around. So you're earning money 6 months down the line on conversations that you started and were just on autopilot.
Fantastic. Question number two: what is the biggest mistake people make when they integrate launch control into their business?
They don't, as we've been talking about, they don't establish a series of touch points. They just text it and forget it.
They treat it as blast and just go out. Question number three: what's your best advice on how to integrate launch control into a business?
Well, the best advice would be, just follow through with our team. Talk to the sales guys and make sure that they get you on the package that is right for your business right now. You can always scale up, but get in on the package that is right for your business right now. And then once you sign up, you're immediately going to get pinged by our customer success team. Answer and talk to them, because that's going to be the real difference maker on getting you up to speed and closing deals as fast as possible.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. What you've talked about in this episode, if you're being reached out to, answer the call, go through the process, and you're going to get success. Question number four: what is the one thing you wish everyone knew about launch control that they don't usually?
I think that it ties into what I said for number two. They don't understand how focused we are on the success of their business. Like we have a lot of subscribers, and we make a genuine effort to get involved with everybody, because we want to see them closing a bunch of deals and sticking with us. But not everyone takes our calls. So, take our calls. It's worth it.
Absolutely. Final question, and this is a bit of a more abstract one. So if someone's just starting out in real estate investing, you've seen a lot of real estate investors over the years. What are 3 bits of technology you would recommend that they bring on first into their business?
All right. So obviously I'm going to be a homer here, but SMS marketing and engagement, it's the cheapest entry point from a marketing standpoint, and it has the highest ROI. So get involved with SMS marketing as your first foray into the marketing side of lead generation and deal flow building. Second, even if you're not ready to have a CRM, adapt a CRM mentality, right? So it kind of goes into what we were saying about building out campaigns, touch points, always knowing when to loop back, making sure that you do loop back, and really don't treat any active conversation that you get as a text it and forget it conversation, but really have a routine and a system of touch points. It can be inside of launch. You can push it to a CRM at that point when it's ready, but go in with the CRM mentality, even if you're not tech ready for it yet. And then and then the third one would be, look, I know this is kind of easy, but it's also true. Just leverage social media for networking. Because if you don't know, the more you can build up your network, the more you're going to learn, the more opportunities for kind of, shared opportunities that you're going to have. Don't go it alone, like network and you will get past those frustration points that I mentioned a lot quicker.
Fantastic. Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure for me to learn a bit more about launch control, and I think for everybody to learn about how they can engage with the system. For everybody listening, please do head over to thatrealestatetechguy.com, where you'll be able to see all the links that we talked about in today's show. I'm going to end the episode with you, Michael. Tell everybody a bit about how they can get started with launch control and close us out.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest thing, I mean, you can just, speaking of social media, you can connect with us on social media, but the fastest way is just to go to the website, launchcontrol.us, and schedule a call with our guys. You know, like I said, the sales guys will take a deep dive into your business and figure out what's the best fit for you. And then they'll immediately hand you over to the success team. And from there, you're off and running.
Fantastic. Michael, it's been a pleasure talking to you. For everybody else, have a great week.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks.